Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Holyoke School Committee meeting. It is November 25th, and the meeting is starting now at 6 p.m. Roll call, please. Miss Feliciano?
Sorry. Mayor Garcia? Ms. LaFave?
Present.
Mr. Sheehan?
Present.
Ms. LeBron Martinez?
Here.
Ms. Pensley Williams?
Here.
Dr. Rivera Colon?
Present.
Mr. Izaza?
Present.
Mr. Williams?
Here.
Mr. Collmore?
Here.
Present.
All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
The flag of the United States of America.
One nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. Just a few ground rules here. On March 29th, 2023, Governor Healey signed into law an act relative to extending certain state of emergency accommodations, which, among other things, extends the expiration of the provisions pertaining to the open meeting law to March 31st, 2025. Specifically, this extension allows public bodies to continue holding meetings remotely without a quorum of the public body physically present at a meeting location, and to provide adequate alternative access to remote meetings. The Act does not make any new changes to the open meeting law other than extending the expiration date of the temporary provisions regarding remote meetings from March 31st, 2023 to March 31st, 2025. Pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 20, I am hereby informing all attendees that a video and audio recording is being made of the meeting, and the meeting is being live streamed and run live on the city's community TV channel. Next item on the agenda is the student showcase, which we do not have any for this evening. Next item on the agenda is the public comment. Did anybody sign up for public comment?
No.
Were any submitted via email?
No.
Okay, that closes the public comment portion. Next is communication and reports, student reports, starting first with Holyoke High School North. How are you, Mr. Rodriguez?
Good. How are you tonight?
Good, thank you. Go right ahead and give your report.
All right. In the month of November so far, the Holyoke High School Theater Company had a great run with their show, and they were able to perform for the DESE/BESE group that had their monthly meeting at HHS. They are now getting ready for their next performance, Lord of the Flies. Stay tuned for the show details. Last week, the Unified Basketball team had their annual Students versus Staff game. The students took the win as they should. Today was the first day of MACAC, the Massachusetts College Acceptance Celebration. It was a great day for seniors as they connected with colleges and many got accepted on the spot. Tomorrow will be the second day of our event. Tomorrow is also our annual pep rally. We are looking forward to see what the seniors do in their senior skit. Today, some students from our RISE program had their annual Thanksgiving celebration. It was a great celebration for students and adults. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rodriguez. Does anybody have any questions? No? Excellent, thank you. We're happy to have Mr. Kennedy back, although he's on Zoom this evening. How are you, Mr. Kennedy?
I am doing good.
We're ready for you.
All right. Well, first of all, the Mrs. Nelson is Missing play was incredible. So huge props to Holyoke High School North for that. I went to go see it, and it was incredible. I just have a couple. I apologize for my absence at the meeting. I am at work, and I'm just on my little break. So first things first, we have our pep rally tomorrow as well. We have games, music, and interactive activities, the normal, pep rally activity. And each grade dresses from different decades. So 12th grade will be the 80s, 11th grade will be the 90s, 10th grade will be the 2000s, and 9th grade will be 2010. I'd also like to say that the Dean Tech Ambassadors got a uniform upgrade. For those of you who saw the ambassadors around, you saw that we had very nice t-shirts, but we just got an upgrade to a very nice high quality sweater to wear. So we will be ready for the 8th grade tours that are coming up. We also had the college acceptance day. It was November 19th, and it was very successful. A lot of students were given offers on the spot. I know of one student who was given like 3 offers with her tuition almost covered. And it was just so incredible. It also goes to show that Dean is not just a school that, you have to go into the career force, but it is also a pathway to gaining a higher education. Myself, Dean provided me with my CNA license. I'm a fully certified nursing assistant, as you can see, working in a hospital. But it also gives me the opportunity to go to nursing school while maintaining these outstanding opportunities that are given to us. And today, this month, we are celebrating Men's Mental Health Awareness. So there has been a announcement every single day for that. To do what else? Freshmen are entering their 3rd round of exploratory. Next, there will be a wrestling event December 6th. I don't have very many details on that, but I can get them for you if you'd like. So it was kind of a short update. I apologize, but if there are any questions, I will be happy to answer what I can.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kennedy, and thank you for joining us during your break. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Kennedy? Well, thank you so much. Hopefully we'll... Oh, what? We have one. Mr. Sheehan?
I don't know if you have any information on this, so I don't want to put you on the spot, but I know that Dean just had a big event, the Women in Trade event. Do you have any info you can share with that, or we can always wait till the next meeting? But
I don't personally have much. I have a little bit right here. Much information myself, but I will say that the Women in Trade is something that happens yearly at Dean. It is an incredible show of all of the, the opportunities that are available and the opportunities that are, being taken. But what I can do is, again, I don't have all the information. I was not in that event. But I can get that information and email it out to the committee for you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Kennedy, for your report.
I just want to say thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much for your report.
Thank you, guys. Have a good meeting.
Have a good shift.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the superintendent's report, and that's the update from the receiver superintendent on the proposed goals and the Metcalf Building Working Group.
Yeah, so first of all, I just want to thank the entire committee for a couple of meetings ago. You were able to provide me with some feedback on my professional practice goal, a proposed student learning goal, and then the district goals that we benchmarks that we have for the current year. What I was able to do with our team is just reflect on the feedback that we got. And I revised my professional practice goal to be more broad, not just my communication with the school committee directly, but my communication in general. We were all here for the presentation that MASC provided on the superintendent evaluation. And if you look at the rubric, communication is kind of a through line throughout a lot of the areas of that rubric. So it is an area that I professionally is something that I know that I want to work on and grow in to be a better superintendent, in addition to a bunch of things that I've been working on over the last 4 years. For my student learning goal, there were a couple of pieces of feedback and some follow-up, and I'm hoping that what I provided in the packet is enough for you guys to select one student learning goal. My personal preference would be either option 1 or 2. That option 1 is basically measuring beginning a year star to end a year star and students grade level performance on those assessments, and then option 2 is one more geared towards growth. I do really think that growth is an important metric that we have to continue to monitor. Want to see if our students are growing from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. So thank you, Mr. Sheehan, for that feedback on my first draft of the student learning goals. And then the The third one is around writing, and we essentially have a new and this was presented to the school committee late in the school year last year. We have a new assessment platform, DNA, that is way closer aligned to our curriculum. The issue with ANET was, it didn't take into consideration what our students were being taught in the classroom with their curriculum, and it was testing students on things that they may not even have gotten to in the scope and sequence of the work for that quarter. This assessment is much different, so we don't have a benchmark to compare to for last year, but there's a writing component, idea development portion of that, and we want our students to grow in that, and we know that we do leave a lot of points on the table when it comes to writing on MCAS, but it is the reason why I'm not, heavily recommending this third one is it's a smaller group of students. It's just our middle school students, whereas the first two measures all of our students that are taking those assessments. So I hope that is inclusive of the feedback that I got. You'll notice in the district improvement goals section, I didn't get any feedback to change any of those because those had already been agreed to at the beginning of the year, but there were some questions about, hey, when you reference the walkthrough tool or the the MTSS heat map, things like that, we want to see what that looks like, and those were included in your packet electronically with links so that you can see that. So I don't want to speak a lot. I'm sure all of you were able to read through the packet and just open it up.
Are there any questions at this moment? No? Great. Would you like to move on to the Metcalf working group?
Yeah, so the Metcalf working group, for those that are on the joint city council, school committee, subcommittee of this body, there was a request for us to develop a plan on how we're going to use Metcalf next year. And in typical fashion, we want to make sure we have represented many different voices in that process. So I'm looking to have somebody from City Council on that working group to see what what options we are exploring. There's many different options, or I wouldn't say many. There's a few different options that we can go with, for use of that space. And I just want to put a team together, and I'm looking for a school committee member that is willing to commit. I don't anticipate this is going to be a heavy lift or a heavy commitment. We're probably going to meet a few times this school year for, maybe a little under an hour just to share some options that we have. Obviously share like what I'm thinking would be or what the group is thinking would be the best for Holyoke Public Schools, the reasons why, but just to hear some feedback so that when we go back to the city council and say this is our plan for Metcalf, it's inclusive of somebody on their body and somebody in the school committee. And, we've done this before in the past where we've had kind of joint issues that we got to work through. And I just think that I'd love to have one of you sit on that working group to help us think through what we do at Metcalf next year. And the reason why we're having that conversation is because we're building a brand new middle school, and students from Metcalf are going to be moving into that new middle school. So that space will be vacated, and it gives us an opportunity to think about the landscape of facilities and programming across the district. And we got a unique opportunity to do something really good here.
Ms. Wilson?
So the meeting's going to be relatively soon, like in December or in January, because the recommendation's supposed to be made by January of this upcoming year. So it's just going to be a couple brief meetings.
Yeah, it'll be a couple of brief meetings, preferably in person, but if Zoom is the only option, we'd be happy to set up a hybrid, down at 57 Suffolk so that you can engage virtually if you see that's better meets your schedule. But yeah, we're trying to. The reason why that timeline is important is because if there's any budget implications for next year, we need we kick off our budget development process in January, and some options include like getting rid of some leases that we have.
Right.
Or, it might mean if we don't go with that option, then we have to actually build that additional lease into the budget. So there's a few moving pieces that I hope this group can get together and discuss, so that you are all informed and at least one member of this body is informed, so that when we come to the full board, you can help, elevate your voice and talk about how we got to the recommendations that we did.
Mr. Sheehan?
So in the write-up, it says the city council has requested a plan for the future of Metcalf schools. So was that an order that the city council can you give me the history of where that request came from?
It came based on conversation that was at a joint. I wasn't actually at the joint meeting, but there was some discussion about the middle school building, and there was some discussion about the Metcalf next year. There was some discussion about central office. So there was conversation at this joint meeting, and I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was in October. I know Dr. Mahoney was there, and Sean Mangano was there.
So there was never an order. There was never an order. There was never any action.
Yeah. So I don't think there was an actual order, but I still think that I still would like to put a group together.
That's fine, but this wasn't a request then by the city council. I mean, it's written the city council requested.
Okay.
I mean, this wasn't a request.
They did request it. I don't know if there was a formal order
they
or not.
can't request anything without a vote. So unless there was a vote.
Okay.
So this wasn't a city. I'm just saying it it wasn't the entire council requesting it. It was something that came from 3 members of the city council and 3 members of the school committee and a joint committee. So just to be clear, this was not a city council request. Because, right, they have to vote. We would have a copy of an order for a city council request.
Mr. Wallahan?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think it was a topic on a agenda, just for us to banter on the. It wasn't well.
Yeah.
How did that come up? I know.
Devin, now that
we had a half-hour discussion on that. I mean, just the pros and cons of.
I'm fine with you doing it. I just want it clear that this wasn't a city council request. This is doing this committee, figuring out what we're going to do with buildings are all fine, but I just want it noted that the city council did not formally request that this action.
So I can get that information. There was an agenda topic that night to talk about the Metcalf space and asking the school department to talk about what their plans are for next year. We didn't have a plan in place for that particular meeting. Yes. So there was an agenda topic to talk about it. Go ahead. Sorry.
Right. That's my point. But the point is, this request, no one has formally requested this. That's my point. Because a committee can't act unilaterally and make requests. They would make recommendations, either to the school committee or to the council, and then there would be an acted on recommendation. So I don't know if the council marked this as complied with when they received the minutes. I mean, so just for the record, this wasn't, and you can form all the committees you want, but this wasn't a formal request from a government entity.
So, Mr. Collmore, if you can follow up with Jeffrey Anderson Burgos, because I know that you guys had a meeting on October 10th, and I did see that was one of the items on the agenda, and it was an order from Counselor Bartley and Counselor Jourdain. That the school committee, the receiver, and mayor present a plan for the future of Metcalf, and it was something that they had proposed back on August 6th of 2024. So if you can follow up with them, and maybe if we can get the meeting minutes to kind of know, was there a vote on it? Was there not a vote? Mr. Collmore?
Do I contact Kevin Jourdain because he is chairman of the committee this year, or do I contact Jeffrey for the minutes of the meeting?
Jeffrey would be for the minutes of the meeting, because in those minutes will indicate what exactly transpired and whether there was a refer back to the school committee or they ordered the school department to do something, to create something, whatever the case is. We really don't know what entailed in that meeting. Mr. Wellahan?
Yeah, we haven't received the minutes, so.
Right, that's why I asked
Yeah,
if,
I know.
if he could
So
follow up with
we're bantering. I think we just tabled the issue just for future conversations, because we were just going back and forth on, what's the best use of that school going back. What is it going to be? Administrative offices, what programs to put in there. It was a detailed discussion. I know our assistant was part of that, and there were no formal decisions made. It's just what's the possibility. That's all it was.
Okay, Ms. Wilson?
I don't think we need to table the issue. I think it's just the clarification that this came out of a subcommittee meeting and it wasn't a order by the city council. I think it would be a good group to meet to discuss what is the use for it. I'd be happy to volunteer.
That's just what I was going to say. So any member, I need to know by tonight whether you're able or would like to be part of the planning team, and then you guys let me know by the end of tonight, and then I'll make the decision and give it to the receiver as well as yourselves and bring it back to the full board at our next meeting. So I have Mr. Wellahan, I have Mr. Collmore, and then I have Ms. LeBron Martinez.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm not sure whether the Ward 3 member wants to be part of the discussion since the school's in Ward 3. Thank you.
Yeah, I've asked Tessa to either told somebody or open it up for anybody who's interested. I think she opened it up initially and no one responded to her, but I did remind her that we're looking to get this group together and she's going to be shoulder tapping somebody.
And I'm just asking everyone, give everybody the opportunity. I know Dr. Rivera-Colon has a very heavy plate, especially with the stuff that's dealt with the capacity building plan and working with DESE. So, if we can all chip in or whatever, that'll be great. Mr. Collmore?
Yeah.
Moment.
Just a suggestion, because it's in Councilor Bartley's district, that we inform him and ask him if he would like to be on this committee.
That would be the president of the city council, because they are going to appoint somebody themselves. We're appointing somebody ourselves, so they'll take care of that. If he wants to be a part of it, he'll let her know.
Question, it would be not the full city council, it's the city council school committee members.
No, so what it is he is creating this planning team, right? He heard the feedback of whatever you guys discussed on October 10th. He heard it. He decided to create a working group. This working group is like an ad hoc committee that he is creating, some task force. But in this task force, he's asking for at least someone from the school committee to be a part of it. And then he's telling the president of the city council that he would like a city councilor. Again, it's about transparency. You don't have to be part of the joint subcommittee to be a part of it. It's open to any school committee member. That's why, like I said, whoever wants to do it, let me know when our meeting is over tonight, and we'll select someone. Ms. LeBron Martinez?
I have a question because I see here on the agenda the middle school building committee for December 12th. These are two different groups, correct? I'm trying to
they're
understand
two
that.
different groups. So the middle school building committee is actually a committee that's formed to monitor the construction of the new building. That was put together by the mayor. I want to say Terry Murphy, actually, when he was acting mayor, put that building committee together, and there has been some members that have left and joined, but it's two completely different things. All I'm looking for is a group of people to come and say, hey, here are some options that we have for next year for Metcalf. Here's why I think these are better for Holyoke Public Schools, but let's have a conversation about it. And then when we go back to the joint city council school committee, we can report back that, you know, that we want to do this and these are the reasons why. And we had a working group that discussed the pros and the cons, and collectively we agreed that this was the best option.
Ms. Tensley Williams?
Mr. Soto, how many people are you looking for to be on the group, be in the group?
I'm looking for one school committee member and one city councilor, and then one city official. So somebody who the mayor might appoint. It could be somebody in their finance, somebody in their building department, and then a group of people from my leadership team. And so I don't have I'm not trying to get to a certain number. I'm just trying to bring people together that make sense to discuss this topic.
Thank you.
But I anticipate maybe no more than 8 people on that group.
Thank you so much. So moving on to Vice Chair report. As everyone can see, the next item on the agenda is the collective bargaining planning team. Going back again to, it's part of our capacity building plan. One of the items on there was that we would assign a representative to observe collective bargaining negotiations, but at this point that is still part of leadership accountability. But what the receiver is doing is creating a planning team, a collective bargaining planning team. So I am asking for a vote that the school committee vote to approve the appointment of committee member Mr. Devin Sheehan to serve as the school committee rep on the district's collective bargaining planning team.
So moved.
So I have a
Second.
motion by Ms. Rivera,
Second.
seconded by LeBron Martinez. Rivera. Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously. Real quickly, as I mentioned, so I'm trying to work off of this plan, and I think to help all of us is for each subcommittee chair to submit a report in the end of the month that'll go onto the agenda on what you've done along with your plan. This will not only help, and it doesn't have to be a long report. So I know that you, Ms. Wilson, you looked at me. Yours might just read, this month the policy governance subcommittee met on such and such a day. We reviewed section, let's just say C, which is blah, 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 blah. Recommendations have been done, and
Perfect.
working with MASC, period. It's just something so we can all keep track. And at the same time, this helps Dr. Rivera Colon when she's collecting all the data and information to provide on a monthly basis to DESE. Ms. Wilson.
Who do you want the chair of subcommittees to send it to? To all of us or just to you and Dr. Rivera Colon?
To myself, and it will be put onto the agenda, and then that way
Thank you.
it'll be like motions to receive and accept your reports. Mr. Wallahan.
Thank you. Yeah, I previously sent some information to Dr. Rivera Colon, so the same policy or same process.
Just is sent to me because I'm keeping track, because this
Okay.
way we don't come into the kind of the miscommunication that we had at the last meeting where I put DGA back on that
Okay,
policy. And you guys had already done that. So this way it's, especially if I'm creating the agenda, I want to make sure that we're catching everything and not losing anything.
Okay.
All right.
Did Dr. Colon, did you share that information already with Vice Chair?
I have not. It was discussed in our local control
Yeah.
subcommittee meeting, but I can send you the summary of both policy subcommittee and finance.
Okay, thank you.
Sounds great. All right. So, anyways, that motion passed. Okay. Moving on to new business. First on the agenda is out-of-state field trips, Romeo and Juliet. Is there a motion to vote to accept the out-of-state field trip to the Hartford stage? We have a motion by Mr. Collmore, seconded by Tensley Williams. Collmore. Motion. Any discussion? I see Mr. Sheehan's hand up.
I didn't see the document. Is it attached somewhere?
It was in the body of the
It's a
email.
PDF.
Oh,
It's on a PDF.
No, you're going to have to get out and it's separate. Wherever you have the.
oh, Romy. Okay.
You found it?
Okay. Yeah.
Any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Okay. Sorry, I'm just writing at the same time. Orders. Introduced by committee member John Wellahan that the receiver superintendent provide an update to the school committee on the cancellation of the homecoming dance. Mr. Wellahan, do you have anything that you want to share on that?
No, just, I mean, it's self-explanatory. Just, I think the committee would just like an synopsis just on the cancellation. I know in the past we've had discussions on the cost of these events and whether the students and the families can, whether we can make it more affordable for them. So I'm not sure whether that was the reason why the event was canceled or not.
Mr. Soto.
Yeah, so the event is back on. Not the event that was initially supposed to happen. That was supposed to be on November 22nd. And you are right. In order for us to book the event that the students wanted, they had to basically sell 200 tickets, and the leadership team worked really hard to try to push those sales. They were pushing it during lunchtime. They did send messages to families and students and remind them. I think that in the future, what I've asked, not I think, like my expectation is that in the future, if we're a couple weeks away from an event and it's on the verge of being canceled, to make sure they let us know so that we can make a final push. The mayor can post on social media, you all can post on your accounts, and we could try to boost the sales. But the reality is we felt really short in having the amount of students that we needed to do it at the venue that they wanted. So we needed 200 students and only 57 tickets were sold. So since it was canceled, the admin team and the advisors and the students all met on the 18th just to hear feedback. And just for clarity, I know there was a lot of like ideas thrown out there on Facebook. Like those ideas were explored, right? Like, hey, why don't you just have it at the cafeteria? Well, that option was out there, and the kids said, like, no, we don't want to have it at the cafeteria. We want to have it over here. So in order to do that, you have to, make sure you're raising the funds or not even raising the funds, but getting the amount of tickets sold that we need to sell. So like, this isn't like HPS is charging people. Like, it costs money to rent these venues out. And, like if it's at the log cabin, for example, we can't just, it costs money to put on something like that, and you need a DJ and you need a bunch of different things. So that's what goes into the planning part of it. And it's a good learning experience for some of the kids to, I came to Dean the other day, and I was in Nick Cream's classroom, and he's the class advisor for this year's senior class, and they were working on the senior prom and where it's going to be, and they were doing an analysis of how many tickets they got to sell. So, unfortunately, we weren't able to get as many kids interested in this junior senior event. But we're actually going to do it at City Hall in the annex upstairs in that ballroom. I don't know how many, I'm sure everybody has been there, but I remember there being like a masquerade ball that was there. But that, it will allow, even if there is not 200 kids doing it, it brought the price down to like $25. El Rincon is going to be they're going to cater the event, and it's going to be on December 13th. in the City Hall annex. So what we're pushing for next year is just, making sure they're planning at the beginning of the school year. They're trying to get as many kids interested. I can tell you, like, from experience, like if it was my son and I said, "Hey, I want you to go to this," he would be like, "Nah, I'm good. I don't want to go." So it's getting kids interested in wanting to do something like that, and then exploring the options. And then if we're on the verge of canceling an event, I'm just asking the team to let us know so we can make a final push to advertise it and maybe avoid having it getting canceled. But just like it happened last year, they came up with a plan B and worked with the students, worked with the advisor, and came up with a plan that will not get canceled, and that'll be on December 13th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't have a time.
All right, well, thank you so much. So that's been complied with. Moving on to the next item is approval of meeting minutes. That the school committee vote to approve the meeting minutes of the February 26th Policy and Governance Subcommittee meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
So Dr. Rivera-Colon with the motion, second by Ms. Wilson. Any discussion?
I will
Mr. Sheehan.
Were these approved as is, as they're presented to us by the Policy and Governance?
Yes, they were.
I will be abstaining. Excuse me, I will be abstaining since I wasn't here then.
So none of us attended that meeting.
Oh,
Only the
okay.
people who were part of that, and we're voting, yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Is there any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, motion passes. Motion passed. Moving on to updates of committees, I have Policy and Governance Subcommittee, Ms. Wilson.
Well, hello.
How are you?
So on November 20th, the Policy and Governance Subcommittee met to review sections A and B. And the sections will be available to school committee members and the receiver to review at the start of December. Each section is going to be reviewed a first pass by the school committee at upcoming meetings. They are lengthy, so I am going to be asking that members review the material prior to the meeting, and we'll be noting which ones that school committee members want to be discussed. Otherwise, we'll be taking them as a package. I think that was what was agreed upon. So if once they are done, you'll be getting a red line version and a clean version of what the proposed changes are going to be for all of the policies. We are going to be moving with Section B first, based on some governance clarity that we've received from our legal department.
Is there any discussion?
Oh, sorry. The next meeting is going to be December 18th. We plan on reviewing sections C and D.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Ms. Wilson. Next, we have the Finance and Operations Subcommittee, which we already have two recommendations underneath that. So the first recommendation is that the school committee votes to receive and approve the fiscal year 26 budget guidelines and priorities and refer to receiver superintendent for advisement during the fiscal year 26 budget development process. Is there a motion? I have the motion by Mr. Collmore, seconded by Ms. Tensley Williams. Any discussion? Mr. Wellahan.
Thank you very much. Yeah, this is just something that we put together. I know the committee met in October 2 times. We met in November 6th and November 21st. So we originally had 5 points here, and then we asked the committee to put their thoughts in and to to our list. So we added 3 other bullet points that are in here. So again, it's just a way of the budget moving forward on where our goals are and where we want to put our resources to. And then, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Willihan. One moment, please. Ms. Wilson, and then it'll be you, Ms. Tensley Williams.
So for under the strategies to minimize classroom teacher vacancies, would this be an appropriate timing to bring up my concerns about staffing coaches rather than filling classroom positions? I'm just wondering that I would like to be on the record saying that I believe we should focus on filling our classroom vacancies prior to hiring coaches. We have not certified teachers in our classrooms, which many districts do, but I would like us to have our certified educators be in front of our students.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Here, you, Mr. Sessa? Okay.
I was at that meeting, I guess the one in November, as an observer, just because I wanted to know what was going on with the different subcommittees. And I suggested that we should include as a, oh, it's already there. Sorry.
Are we good?
Got it.
I guess we're good. All righty.
I just have a
Oh, Miss Tensley Williams.
Wilson.
All the meetings are held at the
Oh,
57.
okay.
Yep. Hearing no, Mr. Collmore, you're giving me the look like you want to say something. No? You're good? Okay.
Just give me your look.
All right, you're giving me the look. All right, hearing no further discussion, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. The other recommendation is that the school committee vote to receive and approve the budget transfer procedure. Is there a motion?
Second that.
Who was the motion from? Mr. Collmore? Okay. Motion. Second. Liberal Martinez. Sorry. Is there any discussion? Mr. Sheehan?
I guess I'm just curious as to why this was a procedure and not something to change policy DBJ, because it kind of goes in conflict. We have a policy that says we approve all transfers, but then we're coming up with procedures that say we don't do that, and we have a threshold. So I guess I'm curious why we would have procedures that are not in line with our policy.
Yeah, I think the policy actually references that we would agree to a cost center level, and that's actually named in the capacity building plan. And I'm sorry, I know your next question is going to be which policy, but and I don't have that policy right in front of me. But there is reference to agreeing with the superintendent on what the cost center level would be, and in response to that, we had a meeting on budget with Glenn Kuchar, and that was one of the recommendations that he had made as well, was having to decide like what level do you want to manage the budget transfer process at? Do you want to manage every single line, which we have about 3,500 accounts, or do you want to agree to what the level of cost center is going to be that we manage budget transfers at? And in that, it also talks about the threshold level that the committee, the finance subcommittee agreed to or suggested, which was $25,000.
So I'm just going to read real quickly so you guys can all hear what your budget transfer authority says.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
In keeping with the need for periodic reconciliation of the school department's budget, the school committee will consider requests for transfer of funds as they are recommended by the superintendent. All requests for line item transfers shall be presented to the committee in a timely manner so that it may act promptly and expedite financial record keeping for the school system in accordance with Massachusetts general laws. Ms. Wilson.
I think this should be part of policy DBJ. I don't think there should be a separate procedure. I think the policy, since it all requests for line item transfers, I think it should be clarified by this procedure, because we are not presented with all requests for line item transfers.
Mr. Sheehan?
I'm just asking, like, through the chair, I guess is there rationale from the committee as to why the procedures were created and not an update standing policy?
Mr. Wallahan?
The explanation provided to me was our committee was really vague in terms of what was being presented to the full board. And again, just to kind of not have the administration bogged down with trivial matters in terms of monetary budget transfers, which will slow down the invoicing and the billing. We wanted to set a guideline, basically, just to keep things moving. I know Glenn brought that up for our last meeting in terms of setting a threshold just to make things work smoothly and not to give up our budgetary authority.
Mr. Sheehan?
So I'm not questioning the threshold. I'm questioning as to why we would not amend the policy and have procedures that conflict now with our policy. It's more like, why aren't we just updating DBJ to be a threshold of 25,000 rather than having to have procedures that conflict with our operating policies?
Right, because here it says all requests. So I mean, you're saying not to bog them down, but technically you would be, even if it's for $1, according to DBJ.
Well,
Mr. Wallahan?
Mr. Soto and the Finance Committee, they recommended this process to us.
Yeah, and can I just speak to
yep,
that? I think
Mr.
that
Soto.
so I agree with committee member Sheehan that we're hoping that like if this procedure is I don't even want to say if this procedure is approved, a change would have to be made to the policy. But we were thinking, like, what would we, what could we implement now during this transition period, in line with what's in the capacity building plan, knowing that we're going to do a full review of all the policies, but I think a lot of the conversation already happened in subcommittee, and I'm hoping that will help expedite the need to change the official policy that exists right now.
Ms. Wilson?
The policy, we are covering Section D on December 18th.
Right, so I was, after I take this vote, obviously part of the planning, the capacity of building plan, and I'm using the word planning too much right about now. So it's just saying that we vote to recommend the fiscal year 26. Oh, sorry. The Holyoke School Committee votes to adopt and begin implementing a threshold for budget transfer review. So they created the process, okay? They already created the threshold. It's coming to us for us to adopt it so we can go ahead and begin implementing it. I'm highlighting it here. So, after this vote, if this is what we're agreeing to, is this $25,000 threshold, right? And the cost centers, then I would have asked the committee, is there a vote to recommend this procedure to policy so they can review and revise DBJ, or however you would want to do it. Mr. Sheehan?
Okay, so reading the capacity building plan, then with that note, so the notes that are here that were agreed upon by the state and the school committee. So does that mean starting today, if we approve these procedures, that we're going to get any transfers in excess of 25,000? Because the note from ESE is separate than FY26. So this says HSC votes to adopt and begins implementing a monetary threshold and cost center definition for budget transfer reviews. That means this point forward, we're going to be getting all of those that are 25,000.
Yeah, we would be ready to implement that should the committee agree that that's that we could do it. And then that's the same with the signing of the warrants. We already got clearance that they could be signed electronically. Like, we could start that as early as next week or a couple weeks, like whatever the body desires.
Okay, so these procedures will go into effect tonight then. So no transfers will be done without coming before the school committee that meet though, because these aren't. So that's where the confusion is, that these say FY26 budget transfer, but that isn't aligned to what the capacity building plan. The capacity building plan indicates that it's any. So I would amend this just to eliminate the transfer from FY26 to just transfer oversight, if that's what it is. That's how I read the capacity building plan.
So can I just give a clarification? So for the approval part, where we're going to vote to approve it ourselves, right, would start at your fiscal 26. Would it be right now to adopt and begin implementing this threshold is we're providing them, telling them at 25,000, but when they bring it to us, it wouldn't be for us to approve it. It's more to accept and receive until we take back local control. Mr. Sheehan.
Well, that's not what ESE agreed to. I mean, the commissioner wrote that bold language is written by the commissioner.
But it's
It says Holyoke School Committee and begins. I think it says and begins implementing, right? That doesn't mean begins it in July. That means once we establish the threshold, it
page am I on? I'm on the wrong page. So it says HSC, which is us, votes to adopt and begins implementing a monetary threshold and cost center definitions for budget transfer review. It's saying that we created and implemented it, meaning he's got to do it. Doesn't mean that he brings it to us for the approval. And we can get a clarification from Desi. I think the actual part where we start voting on those transfers, like yes, we're approving it or no, we're not approving it, will be for the FY26 budget, so long as, because remember, this is all, what's that famous word? What's that famous word?
Okay, but that's fine. But the other areas say that it's for FY26. This says begins and implements means you start doing it. Right. I mean, so just like everything else says FY26 or a date. Like this, there's action verbs in there that say that you're doing it.
It's just like your revises and begins implementing protocol for reviewing warrants and payroll. Reviewing, it's the protocol, implementing the protocol, but it doesn't mean that you're actually signing it. You're implementing the protocol and at least starting that process of reviewing them, the warrants and the payroll, but not actually signing off on them. Mr. Soto.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ms. LaFave. Like, we actually, last year started to try to develop a review process for all warrants. I know we're not talking about warrants right now, but we had agreed initially to try to get the school committee involved in warrant review, and that process was about making them regularly available every week, and anybody can go and take a look at that. I think this is kind of the next phase of, practicing local control and getting ready for local control. Is we can start tomorrow reviewing any, budget transfers that are between those cost centers. So like from one cost center to another, or any budget transfers that are above 25,000. And I think that would, we're just trying to codify what the process is going to be right now. And then I think the policy is going to dictate what the process is going to be, come July 1 when we are in local control. And once we go through that policy review, this should be a part of that discussion.
I think what's really important right now is Dr. Rivera Colon is when you have your meeting with DESI, the local control subcommittee, you guys really need clarification because there's action steps on here that reflect as if we had full control, but basically they're basing this on when you have it, but start implementing what that process is going to look like, but at the same time kind of showing them you know what you're doing. So we really need to get that type of clarification. Dr. Rivera Colon?
Yeah, based on the communications with Desi and the commissioner, these are all like establishing all basically like our training wheels, right? Like we're gonna start doing everything, even if we don't have the actual local control. But so we're starting reviewing warrants, we're starting and implementing, so to speak, because we don't have local control yet. But we have to have everything ready so that the minute it happens, then we know what we're gonna do after.
And I guess it's also to show that, yes, it's being brought up to the committee. We're taking votes to receive and accept, obviously not receive and approve. So to receive and accept, so this way they kind of see that we are doing what we're supposed to be doing, or how other school committees that have their local control do.
Yeah.
Mr. Wallahan?
That's my take on it. And just to kind of show them that we're following. We've developed a process. We have a process. Step one, we're following that. So then when the switch is pulled, we kind of just pick up from there. We don't have to learn it at that point. We've already been doing it. That's my take on it. If you want to table this table this issue, that's fine with me. Till we get more information from DESI, it's up to the committee. That's fine with me.
So going back to the motion, which is to vote to receive and approve the budget transfer procedure. That's the first one. Is there any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion. Mr. Collmore, I saw your hand twitch up. Is it because you wanted to say something?
Yeah.
Mr. Collmore.
I'd like to rescind my motion to allow this to happen, to go to the policy and make the policy included in this change.
So, Mr. Cott, that could be a second. This is just a procedure. So this is not even the policy. This is like a procedure that you guys were tasked in the finance subcommittee to create. I don't want people to get confused here, okay? So the finance subcommittee, as part of the capacity building plan, was to create a threshold, a monetary threshold, right, for reviewing any budget transfers and cost centers, right?
That's correct.
That was your job, your task. You created it as a procedure. Like, this is how we're going to do it. This is when we're going to do it. I know we didn't update the policy to it, or you didn't take that task on, and it conflicts, but you already created the procedure, right? This is what we're going to do. Now, if we take that vote, because everybody's in agree, and, the majority, all, whomever, none, in the budget transfer procedure, if people are in agreement to that, then great, that's what it's going to be. And then we could take another motion to refer to the policy subcommittee so that then they can update policy DBJ, which is part of one of their tasks that they're doing on December 18th. So I'm very wary that you're rescinding your vote when technically it's a vote on a task that you were asked to do under the capacity building plan.
And I agree with what you're saying, but I think someone around here is looking for a date where this would go into effect.
The procedure
tonight.
So the procedure, once we approve the procedure, we're already telling the receiver the threshold is $25,000. So now, No, it wouldn't be starting in July.
FY27. That were drafted by the
Yes. Sorry. So starting in July. Okay. But we're going to send it to Ms. Wilson, the Policy and Governance Subcommittee, after who, if this passes, this procedure, people are in agreement to the money of threshold. Okay? All right. So going back on that motion, which is vote to receive and approve the budget transfer procedures, no further discussion. All those in favor, aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, so we have 7 yeas. Put yes. 1. Okay. All right, so motion passes. So now, can I get another? If Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. I'm sorry. I don't even count myself anymore. All right. So I'll entertain a motion to refer the budget transfer procedure to the Policy and Governance Subcommittee for.
Second.
So it's Mr. Sheehan. And was that you, Miss Wilson?
Yes.
And Miss Wilson. Any discussion? Great. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, great. So motion passes. So Miss Wilson, that's all yours. Okay? All right. All right. Next is the Joint City Council School Committee update. Mr. Collmore?
At this time, I'm still waiting for the minutes of the meeting so I could present it to the full board.
Sounds great. You don't have any upcoming meetings, do you?
No.
Okay. Local Control Subcommittee and Leadership Accountability and Measurement Subcommittee, Dr. Rivera Colon.
For the local control subcommittee, we just had our update with Desi, which was awesome. And we were able to say all the things that we're doing, even some of the ones that we're discussing today. For the next meeting, I still have to make sure and confirm with Desi if they're going to be available at the date that I suggested. If not, I need to make sure that we can agree on a date.
What's the tentative date?
It was on December, but they have different dates that they're available that were not the date that we had. So we need to make sure that we confirm what the date is going to be.
Okay.
And then for the leadership accountability and measurement, we had a tentative meeting date, but then I got really sick, so we need to get our new date. We will do that very soon.
Now, what's on your jacket for?
For that,
for
we had the collective bargaining, and we also have we need to finalize our recommendation for the name of the replacement tech school.
Of the school, right?
May I interject?
Ms. Wilson?
Thank you. So the policy subcommittee, we did have a legal opinion about the naming. So I'm not sure if it's pertinent to share it now or just share it with the subcommittee later.
So when they have their meeting set, I need for Dr. Rivera Colon to have that. Even though I think you'll have access to it because I believe Ms. Feliciano sends us all like the packets of the subcommittees. So it would have been part of the subcommittee that they just had on the 20th. It would be in that packet and you can retrieve it. So at least you have it and you're reviewing it again when you're meeting. I don't know if the receiver has anything that they'd want to share about the naming of the school.
Nothing.
No. Well, she's talking
Point of
about.
order, this isn't germane to a posted agenda to talk about.
So we have the naming of the school. So you're still going to have that meeting. You still have that on the agenda. So that means staff will
Where?
have to. That
But
for
it's-
your leadership.
My point is, though, it's not having a discussion about topics is not germane to the agenda tonight. It could have
Okay.
been anticipated by the chair. I mean,
Okay.
it could have been listed on the agenda saying naming of the school.
So naming of the school is one of your items. Collective bargaining. And I think there was one more that we referred, but I can't remember now. I'll look back, but I think there was one more item from the capacity building plan that we needed done. But I'll get back to you.
Okay. Those are the only ones that I have, but
That
when
you're
you have the
okay.
other one,
And we'll look at the meeting minutes from our thing. Okay, and you'll let us know for this one? And I think you guys are also working with the community advisory team. The leadership. Right? Okay.
yes.
Alrighty, perfect. Moving on to capacity building plan, ongoing business. So, goal development. Go back up here. You know, just to give you guys a heads up, under the finance and operations, we're ahead of schedule. What was I'm like, woo!
That's a first.
December 2024 was when we should have completed our tasks. And we're
You
in
yelled at
November.
me last week saying we're behind.
Right. No, but did you notice? But did you notice how you picked up the pace? You picked up the pace, buddy. I'll give you that one. All right. Stop it, Jay. All right. That now, let me keep going down because I like to keep track of this stuff here. I love highlighting. Okay. So, we're on our October goal development. Let's see if we can move this along and finalize it. That the school committee vote to accept the receiver's proposed.
So moved.
Second.
So it's Mr. Sheehan. Motion. Seconded by Ms. Wilson, right? Second. Any discussion? Dr. Rivera Colon.
So for this one, for the student learning goal, didn't we have 3 options? Do we have to pick one?
Yes.
Okay.
So, how are we going to do this one? Learning goal, there's 3 options. You got to pick one. Okay. So should we go around and just asking like, and then the one with the highest amount is the student learning goal? That then we can attach it to this goal development? People think about that. Just, you guys all had it. You should know exactly what's on there.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, we're going to go, Mr. Sheehan, what number? And just say option 1, 2, or 3, and I'll keep track here. Oh. Mr. Soto?
Can I just summarize real quick? I'm not going to say the whole thing.
Okay.
Option 1 is around grade level standards. Option 2 is around student growth. And then option 3 is around middle school writing.
Okay.
So option 1 is around grade level achievement as measured by STAR from beginning of year to end of year. Option 2 is growth of students as measured by STAR. And then option 3 is to address writing on our interim assessments, beginning of year to the end of, actually I should say quarter 1 to quarter 3, just for middle school students.
Ms. LeBron Martinez?
And we can only vote for one. We cannot vote 2.
You can't give him that many goals because he has to have his professional practice goal. So he's supposed to have 2 to 4 professional practice goals? Was that no? One professional practice goal, one student goal, and 2 to 4 district improvement goals. So I mean, you can't task
Okay,
somebody with like
Okay.
10, 20 goals. It's rough. We can take that on another year. And if it happens throughout, that's even great. You know, maybe if you fix one thing, it'll fix another.
I mean,
Mr. Soto?
these are all things we're working on, so I'm not saying like if you
Right.
choose one, we're going to give up on the other. That's not the case. I think what we're trying to do here is, as part of the capacity building plan, when you do my evaluation at the end of the year, however you participate in that, which student learning goal do you really want to focus on as part of that process?
You know what? I'll start. Option 2. Mr. Sheehan. Ms. LeBron Martinez.
Option 1.
Ms. Tensley Williams. I am not even going there. Dr. Rivera Colon.
Option 1.
Yeah, hold on. Give me a minute here, people, but I think I know which one it's going to be. Mr. Isaza.
2.
Woo, I got somebody that wanted to join me. Mr. Wallahan.
Option 3.
Mr. Collmore.
Option 1.
Miss Wilson.
Option 1, please.
All right. So now I need an amendment to your motion. Do I have it? Do you want to read it to me?
So the amendment would be to accept the. Hold on, I'm going to scroll it down here. We vote to receive the proposed professional practice goal, option 1, student learning goal, and district improvement goals.
So,
No?
I'll withdraw my original
okay.
motion to approve the goals, and someone can just make a motion to accept this with option 1, and then we don't have to.
That's what I just.
Right, but I'll
Okay.
withdraw so it's not amending.
All right, so then,
So Ms. Wilson will make that motion.
yes. To accept the goal development recommendation with option 1 for student learning goal.
All right. Yep, I already wrote you. You've written down a couple for tonight. You on a roll. All right. Any further discussion? Mr. Wallahan.
Real quick, are we confident that we're going to be using STAR next year going forward?
Yeah, we're using STAR right now,
Yeah.
and we don't have any plans on changing
Okay,
that.
great. That's my question. Thank you.
Mr. Sheehan.
We have to do this though every year, though. Like these could be totally different next year. So it could be number 3.
All right. So, hearing no further discussion, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Motion passes unanimously. Community advice. So it's option 1. Remember that. Community advisory team appointments, that the school committee vote to approve the updated list of appointed members to the community advisory team. It's the final one, and I guess it's the addition of the city councilor.
Make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded. Motion. Second. All right. Any discussion? Mr. Sheehan.
We still are waiting for one more.
We are?
Yeah, one representative from city government.
It didn't make it to the list? Because they said that it was all done.
So we do have a city councilor.
Right, but there
No,
was a city
one more.
councilor, then there was a representative of city government, like a city.
Oh, gotcha.
Is that on a separate list, Ms. Feliciano, or no?
The only list that I received.
Do you have that one? So we might have to bring this one back.
I'd like to make an amendment to the motion.
It wouldn't be the final.
Well, I would like to make a motion that we accept this list, knowing that the mayor is going to appoint one individual. Because this group needs to start working if we expect any data to come from it in a timely basis.
Yeah, vote to approve the updated list of appointed. It should have just read updated list of appointed members to the community advisory team. How did final get in there? Is it I know what it is. It's because of the way that it was sent to me, the link. So the link then shows final, but on my end, like on my Word where I was working on the agenda, final wasn't on there. It just said community advisory team.
So again, I'd like to make a motion to amend it to accept the list that was provided to us at the meeting, with one spot held for a appointee from the mayor.
One spot held for appointment by mayor.
From the city department or whatever. Yes, thank you.
Okay, so that's the amendment. So on the amendment, is there any? It was seconded by Mr. Isaza. Okay, so on the amendment, you have a question,
yes.
Ms. LeBron Martinez?
Didn't we vote on this sometime when the mayor was here that we would move anyways with the list, and then the thing was just to add it so that the group doesn't get held up or whatever?
We did vote for the first names that they gave us, but now they just gave us more. So there were three more, and now there's still an empty spot that we don't have the name.
It's in here.
It is in here. Who's the name?
It's Peter McAndrew.
Where do you? Oh,
On October 21st.
Yeah, but that's Holyoke High School North teacher.
Yeah, that was Josh's appointment.
Oh, that's the appointment by Josh?
By Josh,
Oh,
yeah.
by Mayor Garcia. Okay, so then there is no open seat. So
I remove my amendment.
okay, Suzanne, thank you for having that. So this is the final. I guess it is the final. All right, so we'll keep that there. All right, any further discussion? This is the final one. It's the community advisory team. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, motion passed. All right, under announcements, as everyone can see, you have all of these upcoming things happening. Morgan already have their thing. Who's the middle school building committee? Is that you, Mr. Collmore, that's on that one?
School building?
I mean, you were going to a lot of them.
Yes.
Okay, so you have a meeting coming up on December 12th, but it's on Zoom. That's what it says here. Okay, so maybe if you can call it in or something, or go to the, yeah. Okay. All right. We have a motion.
Second.
Wait. Oh, let me write it down. Hold on. Adjourn.
I think Ms. Feliciano should be taking those notes.
Ever since Mr. Wellhand said that we missed something, I don't want to go back. She doesn't want to watch those videos again.
I think we're good. She's good.
Yeah, okay. All those in favor? Any opposed? I doubt it. Thank you all. Meeting ended at 7:20 p.m. I wish you all a great week and gobble gobble Thanksgiving.